us for a couple of hours on a beautiful day.
Welcome back to Ripe Avocados. Today we're going to do a movie called Holland. It's a Prime Video original.
Well, it stars Nicole Kidman, Matthew McFadden, and I never know how to pronounce his first name, but Gael Garcia Bernal. I've seen him in M. Night Shyamalan's movie Old, and I'm pretty sure he's in a show or at least another movie I've definitely seen him in. But the movie's about a wife in Holland, Michigan, and it's kind of like a small, quaint little town in Michigan, and its whole lore around the town is that it's based off Holland, and they have the Tulip Festival, windmills, very scenic, wear wooden clogs and shit like that. But basically this movie follows Nicole Kidman's character. She's a wife, Nancy, and she seemingly has this like picture perfect life with her husband Fred and their son Harry, and she starts to notice things about her husband, like he's always going on business trips, and she starts to wonder if he's having an affair, and she starts investigating that by having an affair herself, which is so stupid. But she starts having an affair with a coworker, another teacher at the high school, and as they're trying to figure out whether her husband's cheating or not, he's doing something way worse. He's literally slaughtering women in his free time and then building in his garage a town model with all these houses and trains and everything. And each set piece in the model is basically where he's slaughtered a woman. And he's doing this hobby with his son, which is very sweet of him to do. And in the end, Nicole Kidman beats the living shit out of him with a clog and kills him. And she returns, or tries to return back to her perfect little life in Holland.
Well, there's like a huge ambiguity aspect to the ending too.
Yeah, so I've been reading online and stuff, and people are saying a lot of different things about the movie. The biggest thing is that Dave, the person that she's having an affair with and trying to solve whether her husband's a murderer or not, her coworker, people are saying that he's just a figment of her imagination and like her alter ego, this person that like she's more free-spirited with and fun with, and ends up like killing her husband. That's like her alter ego or whatever. But I think that theory is stupid as shit. Like Dave is definitely a real person.
But what was so the whole? I think the line she uses is insinuating that everything that she witnesses in this movie is not real at the very end.
Yeah, I guess. And also I saw another thing that people were talking about, like, oh, maybe this is just like a loop. And I think it's like expresses women in like abusive relationships, because I mean the whole movie, the dude not only is a serial killer but kind of like talks down to his wife and treats her as a pet, and is just like, she'll bring up things like, hey, maybe you're cheating on me, and he'll just be like, oh, let's reset, boop. And she's like, yeah, you know what, you're right, like I'm being stupid. But I don't know, I think this movie was like, there's definitely an ambiguous aspect to it, but I think it's pretty straightforward. Like, I think it's just a story about a wife uncovering the fact that her husband is killing people, and she ends up killing him in the end. I think that's what it is.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what it is at face value. They make a point to make it seem eerie and mysterious at the very end, though. I didn't really understand
especially with the dialogue between her and Dave syncing up and them saying kind of the same thing. I think the way I took it was they both had these like weird situations and storylines they each were going through together, but in the end he's just escaping his like anxiety and the fact that he stabbed homeboy and thought he killed him. He's escaping that town and leaving it there while she's escaping her husband but still staying in the town.
Yeah. There were also some other loose ends that we could get into in the writing that didn't necessarily line up in the end. But overall, I don't know. We'll see what we scored here. For entertainment, I don't think you and I are going to be anywhere close on this movie at all based off the few things we said offline. But I gave this a 6.5.
Oh, okay. I gave this a 6.5 as well.
Oh, damn. That's hilarious. Okay. 5.9 was my character score.
6.0 was my character score.
Okay.
Yeah, we're totally off.
3,
here.
2, 1, 6.9.
Oh. Maybe I liked it more than you.
I went 7.2 for writing.
Okay, I went 5.0.
Like, we can talk about... There's a couple pieces I wanted to add. Like, the characters were fine. I really like Matt... Is it Matt McGovern? What's his last name?
McFadden.
Matthew McFadden. Yeah, well, he's in Succession. That's what everybody knows him for. And he kind of plays this quirky guy in Succession, but he's not a psychopath.
He's not murdering people.
No, but he is trying to get in the good graces of Brian Roy. Obviously, if you've seen Succession, you know what I'm talking about. But he makes a lot of these quirky, dry jokes that they just kind of make you chuckle when you're watching him. But then he didn't have this whole like crazy other side to him. But I like him as an actor. I think he's good. I just think he was probably the best role in my opinion of the whole movie. Obviously, he's got two sides to him. And we've seen Nicole Kidman kind of play this really battered, I don't know if batter is the right word, but just super oppressed housewife. Obviously, Big Little Lies is the one that sticks out to me. The Undoing, it's like a really similar plot to that. But Nicole Kidman does also play the really... She plays kind of like the villain at times. That movie, I just saw it recently with Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler with Brooklyn Decker. And she's Jennifer Aniston's sorority sister who she doesn't like and plays a really prissy woman, but is not like a shell of herself as she's portrayed in Holland. And I don't know really where I'm going with that. I just didn't hate the characters overall. The son was kind of never really explained, though. That was sort of the point I wanted to talk on. I think they make it really... They try to make it seem like he's gay, I think, right? You didn't get that at all?
What?
You didn't see... Okay, well... There's this whole...
Explain that. Because
So
that's news to me. Not once while watching that movie did that thought ever cross my mind.
Well, obviously you mentioned how traditional... I don't know if you used that word, but Matthew McFadden is really, really old school when it comes to the roles, right? He never's making food, cleaning up, really doing anything except seeing his kid when he's out of work, just kind of working on his weird little fantasy. And there's at one point it's mentioned how Harry the son is interested in performing at the rose ceremony or the flower ceremony or whatever it is, and they say how someone makes a comment about how boys don't typically do that, and he's like the only boy in this whole thing dancing at this show. And then you see these weird... Nicole Kidman keeps having these like really weird visions throughout the movie. Not that... Whatever. You know what I'm probably going to say. But there's a couple scenes where he's shown as like a little more flamboyant, I would say. And then he's obviously like dancing in the very end. I don't know if her character is maybe going through a mental battle. Like, I think my son might be gay, but also my husband might be Jeffrey Dahmer. So there's a lot going on here.
Dude, I did not catch that whatsoever. I think she was just like a horny bastard that was also figuring out the fact that her husband was a serial killer. I don't think
Reddit.
Yeah, I don't think... Ask ChatGPT or something, because I don't think once there was a thought across her mind where she's like, holy shit, is my husband slaughtered... Wait, is Harry gay?
Not that there was an issue with it. I just think that she was probably... if I'm interpreting this right, I thought her character, which it doesn't sound like I am at all, but it sounds like her. To me, it seemed like she was worried that Matthew McFadden was going to figure that out or something.
Is this like 4 pages of your notes? Just like,
No.
is Harry gay? Just drawing diagrams and shit?
There was some weird shit going on with him. Like, why, his whole relationship with her was really odd.
It was when he was like very brash, but I think that was just to show that like his father was like rubbing off on him. In no way other than a figure of speech, but
yeah, I don't know.
Like,
there's just
because when Harry's helping his father build the model of the town, there's that one scene where the father's holding the figurine up and he's telling Harry to like cut the head off, and you see him like snip the head off. And then even after it cuts to, or it doesn't cut, it just pans to Nicole Kidman talking to them in the garage, and you still hear the kid snipping away. So it's like he's dismembering the figurine the same way that Matthew McFadden is like sawing off women's limbs. But
teaching them young.
Exactly. That's why he called Nicole Kidman, like, he's like, shut up, you fucking bitch. Or he didn't say that, but he says like something pretty rash to her at the beginning when she kicks the babysitter out.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna get more of her too. Oh my God, what is her name?
It's like Rachel something, right?
Rachel Sennott.
Yeah, she's from, or she was in that SNL movie.
She is. She's in,
and also in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
She's in that. Yeah, she's an upcoming actress. She's in this movie called Shiva Baby. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's a pretty underrated movie. I actually watched it. It was one of those Fran had it on, and I kind of was in and out of the room. But it's basically her family's like very Jewish, old school, and she's at like a wake or like a funeral, catching up with her cousins and getting extremely judged by her family and stuff. And she's really good at that deadpan type humor, and I thought she was really funny in that role.
She was like my favorite character in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I didn't like that movie that much, but her character was hilarious.
Right, and I thought we were going to get more of her because, I don't know, I guess she only had that opening scene and then she's just not in the movie anymore. It just kind of seemed like, getting back to my critique on the writing, even though I think I gave it my highest score out of 10, I thought the idea was original. There's probably been more of these type movies where the husband's a serial killer and like the wife has to figure it out, but they really led into the affair theory. I think that's where we all thought it was going early on. The whole snipping part that you were just touching on, that was like a dead giveaway, or supposed to be a dead giveaway of what was really happening. And then we kind of just like see it happen the same time that Gale does, or Gale, when he walks into the cabin and he's just like methodically cutting this woman's throat with a whatever. It's like really graphic. It's kind of jaw dropping, and I thought it was just an entertaining thing that made you think. At least for the first hour of the movie, I was completely confused of what was going on, and they somewhat explained all of it. I just thought the ending just was a little confusing.
Yeah, no, I think the movie, as you were saying, the plot was cool. I think the ending of the movie kind of ruined it for me. And that's not to say I didn't necessarily enjoy it. Me personally, I felt the movie was very straightforward. Like, the ending was the ending, and there's no like thought of like, oh, maybe Dave is part of her imagination and all this stuff. It just, I think it could have gone even crazier. Like, I think it could have gone down a route where like Nicole Kidman was actually helping her husband like murder these people, or she was the one murdering people and the husband was like, maybe she was a little crazy in her mind and the husband was like helping her cover it up and stuff. Like, I don't know, but the movie was just like fine for me. I watched it and I was like, okay, cool.
It seemed like it lacked that last layer that would have made it really good. It kind of reminded me of Gone Girl in a way. That's one comp I wrote down. because, you know, Ben Affleck's trying to figure out what his wife, he thinks his wife's missing, and then she actually is out killing people too, and like trying to steal all his money, like frame him and shit.
Yeah.
And it's the same idea, like the private investigator stuff. I don't know if Ben Affleck hires a private investigator, but
No, but he hires Tyler Perry to.
I was gonna say
as, like, lawyer.
okay, yeah, I knew Tyler Perry was some sort of legal authority in that movie, but
he was Medea in that movie.
you almost thought though, like Holland would have gone an extra route and added that final layer. It seemed like once we figured out that Matthew McFadyen was a serial killer, there was no additional thing about the movie that was really that interesting. It was just like,
and that's the thing to me. Like, that was pretty much it. You kind of had the feeling she was gonna. I mean, I had the feeling she was gonna end up killing him or like getting away from him, stopping him.
yeah.
He like comes back from being stabbed and like drowning in the lake to like finding her at that motel, but I don't know.
There was a lot of plot armor for the last 20 minutes of the movie, but I guess honestly too, there is a huge infatuation right now with creepy people making stick figures of like what they're doing. We saw it in Heretic, we've seen it in Hereditary. It's, I don't know, people seem to like this concept of making like figurines of murder or whatever fucked up fantasy you have.
Yeah,
But-
I thought that was pretty cool.
It
Like,
was
going into the cinematography too.
Yeah.
Her dream sequences when she's in the miniature set, and even like her vision of Harry when she's having that dream, and he's already in the tulip outfit, and he's just like, the way he turns and like snaps his head, he's like a miniature model or like a figurine. And yeah, I don't know. I thought that whole aspect of the cinematography was really cool.
They played off Beetlejuice too. There was a couple scenes where they're like running, where she's running on the road, and that looked right out of Beetlejuice, like the original and the new one, which that's not a negative effect of the movie at all. I think that's really cool that I like it when directors use like good aspects from other people. I like the music a lot too. It was really retro. Maybe retro is not the right word, but it sounded right out of like the 50s or something.
And then like hardcore rap when it like panned to Harry in the car just like bumping music on his headphones.
Yeah, but they tried to set the whole tone of this is an old school area. Like everything here is very old school. And even I think sometimes during some like pretty graphic scenes they would play like Bing Crosby or some heir apparent to that.
Just sawing the head off, listening to Frank Sinatra. Just
it kind of like I've seen Fallout. They sort of do the same thing during that show where it might be a really futuristic looking fight scene, but since that all took place before a supposed Cold War attack or nuclear attack, that was in like the 50s, every song is going to be dated and set the tone. And I think that movie, I think Holland tried to do that, and I think it worked pretty well. And overall, it was a pretty solid watch. I was kind of surprised that it had the scores it did on Letterboxd. I sort of thought this was like a 3-star movie, 3.5-star movie.
I would say it, like 3 stars maybe, but probably in that like 2.5 to 3-star range for me.
What didn't you like the most about it? You just think the plot lacked?
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of out on Nicole Kidman in this movie.
Oh, yeah, you did say this to me. All right.
Yeah, and I like Nicole Kidman a lot. I think she's amazing. But, like, for some reason, in this, I need to see Baby Girl. I didn't see that movie, but I think her acting was just, like, deadpan a lot of the time. Like, I wasn't getting a lot of emotion from her. But
there wasn't really any layers to her character, to be fair.
Yeah,
she was
maybe.
kind of oppressed at the beginning of the movie. She's still kind of oppressed until she kills her husband, but then she's also depressed the whole time. That is not something that she's going to be happy about.
And she's also pressed on Dave. She's literally all depressed.
Yeah, her motives don't really make a whole lot of sense either. She does really find herself in an affair right after hiring not even hiring a private investigator, but just like telling Dave to help her.
And Dave is loving every second of it. He's like, "Yo, I don't want to help you with this," and she's like caressing his face. She's like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean you have another date? Don't you want to help me out?" He's like, "All right, whatever."
Yeah, it was a little wish-washy. It didn't she's definitely played better characters in the past, but I didn't think her acting was bad at all. I just think her character might have been a little boring compared to what we've seen her do in the past. She's no Celeste Wright, but I think that character is better because in Big Little Lies, she has this persona like of utmost power. I mean, she's like a former lawyer who everyone idolizes and respects, and then come to learn she's just getting her face beat in like all the time and hiding
I
it.
laughed at that.
I don't know. That character just has more layers because she has to code switch and stuff, and she's code switching around her husband in this movie, but it's kind of in public too. Like even when she's at the pancake dinner or whatever, she's dressed up like a pilgrim and serving people for hours on end. Clearly not happy. She's just not happy with that whole relationship before the serial killing stuff she finds out later. So it's really just like a tragic plot, but it's original. So I guess that's why I liked it a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's what it maybe because her role as Celeste Wright in Big Little Lies, like as you were saying, the two personas she switches between are so, I don't want to say so different, but it's like, as you were saying, so smart and powerful versus like being oppressed by her husband and getting physically assaulted and verbally assaulted and all kinds of assaulted, versus here where her two personas are like, she's either getting oppressed by her husband or B, she's just having fantasies about Dave the whole time. It's like that whole aspect, like the music that would happen when she would kiss Dave, or like she's getting fucked by her husband and then she immediately rolls over and starts fantasizing about Dave. It's like,
no, I think she was overall, her character just lacked that extra layer to me, and
the whole movie kind of did for me.
It did, but nonetheless, we gave it a 6.4 out of 10. Again, all our scores can be found on our YouTube and on our website as well. We will rank all of them by character, cinematography, entertainment, and writing, and average those all out. So this will probably end up right in the middle of the pack from other movies that we've ranked. And this is now episode 40 of Rape Avocado, so we've got 40 movies for you to go and look at. And yeah, Holland, overall pretty good. Did some good things, did some not so good things, but I would recommend it. If you're looking for something to watch, it's not the worst thing.
You could probably watch something else though.
Yeah, you definitely could.
Watch the new season of Black Mirror.
Yeah, a lot of good TV out there. But that's gonna do it for this episode, and we'll be back next Tuesday with another one. Peace out.
Deuces.